Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hello. Hello, and welcome to Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm Zoe. Unfortunately, Lizzy couldn't make it this week, but I'm really excited to have a guest, Alden Diaz of Ahch-To Radio.
Hello. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. So we haven't podcasted before, but we've, orbited the circle. and,
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. It was weird. I had actually been following you for a while, and then you came up to me at the Andor premiere and was talking about my episode of our Star Wars stories, and I was like, oh my gosh, he really knows who I am. And then I was low-key eavesdropping when you're talking to people after, because you always have such good insight. So I was when you're talking to people after, and we watched Andor at the premiere, I was eavesdropping. I was like, what's he saying?
You
This is
didn't
the
have to
exclusive
eavesdrop.
content.
You didn't have to
Well, I
eavesdrop.
know
You could have come up.
I was with the Mercs clan, so they were kind of pulling me. So I was like,
Sure.
yeah. But...
No, but yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because I wasn't gonna bring it up if you didn't, because I don't want to come on here and just be like, I cried watching it, but I did. Which I had told you in person. Your episode of our Star Wars stories with Jordan Hembrow is before I even knew you personally at all. Your story was just so affecting, and I think very universal, but also really specific. And yeah, I cried, sent it to my friends. I was like, watch this one.
Oh my gosh.
Which was great. And so yeah, so then seeing you in person, I'd known you online and everything. I knew about your show, but then it's like that thing where you see someone's face and you're like, it's registering. Do I know them? Have we spoken? And then I'm like, no, it's because of the internet. Yeah, it's so great to meet you.
That's it. I feel like at Celebration and at the Andor premiere too, every time I look at someone, I was like, do I know this person? Have I talked to them? Or do I just follow them on TikTok? I was like, would it be weird to go out evaluating, have I talked to you, or do I just watch your videos? It's always a fun, mental trying to remember.
Yeah, it's like a little balancing act, a little game that you have to play with yourself. Did I talk to have I talked to them in replies or comments, but it's been great. And now I ran into you there, ran into you at Celebration. Two celebrations.
We ran into a few times.
Yeah.
Yes, a few times this past Celebration.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the crazy early morning queues.
Brutal. The most brutal queues. You're half awake.
Yes.
But the love is keeping you alive.
It was worth it. And honestly, we met such cool people in those queues. I'd either just not gone to panels or gotten very lucky with the lottery. This is my fourth celebration. It's my past celebration, so I'd never done the early morning queue. And this year we did not get the lottery for the studio showcase, and I was like, I don't care. I'm getting in. I'm going. And I'm dragging my dad out at 5 a.m. Really 4:30, because we had to walk over from the hotel. But we met such cool people, especially being in Europe. I feel like you get more diverse backgrounds and stuff, just because it's more accessible to more of the world outside of the States. So getting to we stood in line, we're just talking forever to this woman from Israel, and these people from obviously the UK and Scotland, and we met some people from Alaska and Hawaii, and it was just cool to meet so many people and have something in common with all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the magic of a line like that, or of a queue, as they say over there, is really powerful, because you're anticipating the same thing and you speak the same language. And the way I've always described Celebration for people that have never been is, imagine a place where every single person, if you were all magically turned back into 5-year-olds, you would all want to play together. You would all know immediately who Leia was, who Chewie was, who R2 was. You can say anything there, and people know. If you took your Sabine armor to a general comic book convention, you'd probably get a lot of interaction, but you would also get an equal amount of people that are like, oh, that's cool, but I don't really know what that is. Whereas here, people know exactly who you are, exactly what scene this armor is from, what season. So it feels like people are all speaking the same language, even if they're from other places. And we made tons of friends in those queue too. Hung out all day, got lunch after the showcase, followed each other. It's the best.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And it's funny you mentioned people knowing, because other cons, it's maybe Sabine, usually oh, pink Boba Fett. I got like Bo-Katan once, and I was like, no, I'm Sabine, and they're like, no, Satine is her sister. You're Bo-Katan. I was like, I think I know who I'm cosplaying, but okay. But yeah, it was funny too because the version I brought to Celebration this year was the epilogue Sabine, which at this point is going to be an Ahsoka more a live action version of it, but at this point is in one scene at the very end of the series, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, your Sabine is great! Like, look, your Sabine." I was like, "Yeah." When it's it wasn't even a recognizable really version of Sabine compared to ones she wore for a whole season.
No, absolutely. I have this is just for the benefit of you, but for people listening, I have Sabine's epilogue helmet tattooed up here.
Nice.
And when I got it, I remember telling my artist, so it's Sabine Wren, and she had known a little bit about Rebels and everything because she gets a lot of Star Wars tattoo requests and things. And she's like, "Oh, okay, so she's got like a lot of looks. Like, which one is it going to be?" I'm looking at Google here. Is it this one? Is it this one? And I was like, "No, it's the one with no actually great shots of it." And it's like it's going to be the most obscure one because I think it is the best look.
It's
Like,
my
just
favorite. It's my
yeah,
favorite.
I really do love it. I think it's it's understated, but it feels like really new in comparison to the other ones. And I think the color balance is really neat.
Yeah, I love the color. I love the hair. When the epilogue started, and I see this like super short purple. She always had short hair, and I always loved it. But the super short purple hair, I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. And the like helmet with the more like Loth Wolfy kind of design, and like the Purrgil, everything. I love that look. I love
Yeah.
all of her looks, but that one's easily my favorite.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm really excited to see it in live action, which we will talk about. But yeah, it was just great. Just immediately great. Like we were both exhausted, and you will be throughout the entire experience. But every time that you're like, my feet hurt, I'm tired, my back hurts, I'm hungry, you see something to smile at and you're back.
Yeah, I think, and that was like, when you're in line too, you get, everyone's a little tired, maybe a little hangry. So you get people being like, oh, like kind of grumbling about it. And my dad just kept saying all weekend, he'd say, look, a bad day at celebrations is better than a good day most other times. So like,
Absolutely.
that was definitely like the motto of like, yeah, I'm tired, my feet hurt. I don't know if I'll be able to walk after this, but I'm having so much fun.
It's the best kind of pain. It's it
Yeah.
you're bleeding. I think it was in the behind the scenes of Force Awakens that Simon Pegg in the Unkar Plutt costume talking about how hot it was in the desert and everything, and he's like, I burn for Star Wars. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's so fun. And I also think some celebration is like what we all have in common, but also seeing like all the different things that bring people to Star Wars into celebration. Because for me, like Star Wars animation is like probably my top. I love all of it, but animation is like my thing. I think that's I'm most connected to. But for other people, it's like the extended universe or like the High Republic or like a specific like movie or show. And I think it's really cool that we all have like our own like thing that we're super into within this thing we're super into.
Absolutely. It's really cool when you see somebody whose expertise is completely different than yours, or they know everything about a character that you know almost nothing about, or even just like the cosplay groups and how they form their own traditions. Like the I don't know if it's correct to call it a funeral procession, but it was kind of like a funeral procession of the
I
Mandalorians.
think it's the Death March. I think that's what
The
we call it.
Death March.
The Death
Got it.
March.
Were you in that?
No, I wasn't. I
Okay.
always miss it. I missed it in Anaheim too,
It's
but it's
long.
always
Like
so cool. It's
I didn't
very
realize how
long.
long it was.
It's
I
very
was like,
long.
there's
It's
so
super cool.
many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the running of the hoods,
hmm
time honored tradition, and we have a new one this year. We had the
hmm
running of the prisoners,
Yep.
one way out,
The one
counting
way
one way
out
out the whole
chance.
way through. Uh,
Fantastic. With their
it was
pool
so cool.
floaties and things.
Yeah, I always love like they have the basic look, and I always love when they like accessorize like the pool floaties. I saw some like Hobbit shoes because
Yeah.
you didn't want to actually run barefoot in that convention center, but like the Hobbit foot shoes and uh
hmm
all the fun little things.
Yeah, it's great. And like you said, the different entry points is what makes it interesting. Like my Star Wars experience, I've never built anything. I have never built anything. I'm terrible with my the tools and crafts and everything, and like could I learn theoretically, but um that's why it's exciting to meet people that do. Like one of my cousins is a droid builder. And like I don't really understand when he's explaining to me the ins and outs of the parts and everything, but I love to hear him explain it. And that's
Mhm.
what it is, that you know that people have a different way in than you, and that lets you know that it's going to keep going and going and going. There are people there that
Yeah.
are just there to buy collectibles. There are people that are just there to
Mhm.
buy art, and it's great.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, like the creativity. So there's like, those like I do the same, like building things, like trying to replicate Star Wars, and there's also people who like put their own twist on it. And I think that's so interesting to see how people personalize it. I saw a Moana Mandalorian this
Mm,
past one, and I saw another Moana Mandalorian last year at Anaheim, and they were two completely different, but both very obviously like what they were inspired by. Both absolutely fantastic, like totally beautiful, and it's cool to see like how different things can get, how much people personalize, and like how it inspires them. And it's always just, it's the creativity, and it's always so fun to see. And that, and like, there was a lot of Sabines there
mm.
this time. And it was fun to like talk and be like, oh, like what's your armor made out of? How'd you attach this? Like what paint did you use for, and like getting to like kind of swap and be like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that next time. Or like, oh, that's like, that's interesting. I didn't think of that. And like just learning is always super fun.
Yeah, in the case of something like Sabine or like Rebels in general, what was maybe, I mean, shocking as it may be, next year is 10 years of Star Wars Rebels, which is insane.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite of all the shows, live action or
Hmm.
animated. Just overall, Rebels is my
Same.
favorite. And what was maybe more niche at a time, like maybe half of Star Wars fans really know Rebels. Like now, it's like Sabine, Kane, and Hera. Like these are rock star characters.
Hmm.
Like they're more uh widespread than they've ever been. It's about to get even bigger, and to see how that appreciation grows and changes. Sometimes even in like literal, like easily definable ways, like High Republic going from a smaller stage last year to the main stage this year, and how big their meetup
Hmm.
was, and just like all of this, like it's exponential growth. It's not going to get smaller ever,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
I think Visions was the same thing. I think it was a very
Hmm.
small stage for Visions last year, and then this year, the big stage, the celebration stage, is where the Visions panel was,
Hmm.
and it was so cool to see, because I think Visions also like came out very recently, maybe a little bit more niche, and there was Visions cosplayers, and like the stage was full. It was full. The celebration stage was absolutely full for the Visions panel,
Yeah,
which was just awesome.
yeah, it was great, and it was a gorgeous panel
Yes.
too. Just
Oh, I'm
everything
so
they showed.
excited. I'm
Cannot wait
so
for that.
excited. We're
Absolutely.
close. We're close. A few weeks off.
Hmm. Very close.
Um, yeah, so we can talk a bit about the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, which is always the first big panel on Friday. We got there about 5 a.m.
Hmm.
queuing for the Ahsoka panel, and we're still like very much not one of the first people in line. We were close, but there was like a good group of people in front of us.
Yeah,
But
I think we were behind you. Maybe we got there at like 5:45 or 6, because I
yeah.
saw you when we were going to take our spot,
Mhm.
and it was stressful because you don't know what it's going to look like inside. You don't know, because you can queue early, but there are, not every, the reality is there's a Lucasfilm team, a Reed Pop team, a Disney team, there's the actual staff on hand, there's the volunteer staff, there's the staff that work at Excel, that they're there no matter what is happening. So there's a lot of different moving parts, and sometimes you're like, but I was so early and now there's all
Yeah.
this in front of me because of security checks or whatever. And
Yeah.
like, it's still a crapshoot. And it feels like, you leave it up to the force to decide.
Yeah. I
Um,
know, because I know a lot of people in front of us are talking about wanting to get into the celebration stage, and I just turned to Dad, I'm like, look, we're going for Galaxy. Like we're gonna
yes,
play it safe, just straight to
yes.
Galaxy. That's
You
what
had
I
the
did
same thought.
both days I queued. We just went straight to Galaxy. I was like, I'm not risking celebration stage, because I think
Yep.
Ahsoka panel, they didn't even have any standby
No,
for
if any, barely. Like,
celebration stage.
but you're right. I mean, it was a strategic choice because my mindset was everyone will go for celebration because they want to be in there. And I get that. I do too. Twin Sons is too small. So it's
Mhm.
like you're like Goldilocks at that point.
Yeah.
Like which one is just right? And Galaxy is big enough to get a lot of people. You'll see everything. You don't have to worry about exclusivity of footage. Everything will be streamed, but it won't have the chaos of Celebration.
Yeah. Plus, I think the layout, you like passed Twin Suns and then past Galaxy to get to Celebration stage. So it was like, okay, like everyone, people who like really want to go, like, or really taking a chance might go to Twin Suns on the way. And then you have people going all the way to Celebration stage. So we'll like sneak in the middle, get to Galaxy.
It was wise, and it worked out for both of us.
Worked out, yeah. Worked out very well. The Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, I felt like I had to recover, like just from that panel. Afterwards, I'm trying to remember everything because there was so much.
Yeah, it was very, very, very packed. I mean, we had, I think
it went overtime. I think it was scheduled for an hour and a half, and I think it went at least 2.
It was like 2:15. Yeah, they ran late and they went late.
Which is
they didn't
fine
rush
with
anything.
me.
Oh yeah, I was fine by
I was
totally fine.
Time.
I mean, when we got to the creatures bit right in the middle, because it was like all the shows, then like an interlude with Neil Scanlon and his creatures, then movies, then Indiana Jones. And when they hadn't done any movie announcement or Indiana Jones, I was like, oh, we're gonna be here for a little bit. Like this is they are overtime. Which is fine. Again, it's fine. These are human beings, they make mistakes, and it all comes together very last minute. Like I can tell you, I ran into Ali Plum, who hosted the showcase. Ran into him by the autograph area, and we were talking. And he didn't know about Daisy Ridley, and he hosted it. Like that's how tight of a secret that was. So I think maybe part of it was like, she's not here yet, we need to stall. Like
and I'm glad they weren't like, oh, like we're running over time, let's start rushing through stuff. Like they gave everything its room to breathe, and I would much rather have that than rushing through it to end.
Absolutely.
Lucasfilm can have as much of my time as they need.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And they made use of it. I mean, you might remember better than I do, but we did all of our shows first. We started with Andor, right?
I think yes, Andor was, because I think Andor is the only continuing show at this point.
Yeah.
Besides maybe Mando. I don't know if they've officially said Mando season 4.
Mando season 4 is happening.
Okay.
They haven't been like, here's the announcement, but Favreau said he wrote all of it. So
yeah, they might have started with Mando just because I remember they were like, all right, come back here and you'll get to see the next episode. But it was like, I feel like it was pretty short.
They showed the opening scene with Gideon.
Yes.
And then, which is like, for a show that's happening now where you can't talk about stuff you haven't made yet, that was a smart thing to do. I thought was like, here's a scene, and if you can come back later, check out the rest of it. If not, it's days away.
Yeah. But it was very cool to watch that. I mean, that's when we got the Thrawn mention in the entire room. Like,
yeah,
that's my favorite part. Is always the reactions. Like, I will cherish seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi at the Lucasfilm or after Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, and then which was not Celebration, but the Andor premiere, and just getting that like theater reaction is my favorite thing. So I can't wait to see Star Wars in a theater again.
Yeah, it's the best because people, again, like when we talk about how we all speak the same language, everyone knows you know, clap at the Lucasfilm logo and everyone's quiet, and then you explode, you know, when the actual thing starts, and then you're all quiet again, and everybody sort of reacts like that. Gideon scene's great because like the Thrawn mention, Pelion, Brendel Hux. Every single time that something got added, everyone, you hear all the whispers and everything. Like we were all on the edge of our seats over a conversation.
Yeah, no, it was a board meeting. It was just a board meeting, and
just we're dudes all at work.
And I have to say, we were not going to talk about the whole Mando episode and everything here, I don't think, but the Brendel Hux I was watching, I was like, did they get Domhnall back to play his own dad? I was like, that's cool, but it was his brother.
It's his brother. Yeah,
spot on. It was like, I was like, yeah, like that's, I think, because I don't think they had subtitles on or anything, but like they didn't even say his name or anything. I was like, that's Brendel Hux. Like,
yeah, it's just Commandant is all they say, Commandant Hux.
Yeah,
which is great. Yeah, so that was a great section. Exciting as always for them, and we didn't know at that point that Dave was going to come back later for something else, which we'll get to that. But
yeah,
the Andor one I thought was interesting because Lucasfilm was really good at being like, oh, we didn't really have much to show, and you know, we know they're filming it right now right there in England, But then they showed a full trailer and it
I
looked
know.
amazing.
They kept saying like, yeah, like we're, still in progress, don't have much. I was like, this is what I want. This is
Yeah,
beautiful. It was
yeah.
the way it was framed too, is like pretty much every shot was the back of someone's head and
Hmm.
just this connectivity. And I rewatched the first couple episodes of Andor earlier today because I just love that show and I'm so excited. I'm sad that it's gonna end, but I'm excited for it to finish the way they wanted to and have that good wrap up.
Absolutely, especially, they've made it very clear where it's going to end, what the last scene
Mhm.
will be. So a few years from now, probably late 2024 or 2025, watching Andor season 1, season 2, and then Rogue One as like
Mhm.
one long marathon will be so surreal.
Yes.
Um, and I love that this season, even though they couldn't show much or say much, you see like a big variance in locations and costuming, like Cyril with his new hat, and then
Yes.
it
That.
ends with Cassian like hair slicked back at a bar, and he like
Mhm.
gives that suave look, like, oh, we're doing real spy stuff now. Like it
Yeah.
felt really cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see this chapter. I'm excited. It wasn't in the trailer. I'm excited for K2.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think something Andor doesn't get credit for, because it's, everyone knows the dramatic elements are really good, but Andor is really good at comedy. When
Mm-hmm.
they have a little comedic bit, when they have a funny little scene, it's perfectly fits the tone. It's always perfectly placed, and I'm excited for how they do K2,
Me
who's
too.
like the absolute funniest part of Rogue One,
I
and also
agree.
like the saddest. And then that's
Yeah.
something Andor can do really well though, is like with B2. He gets like peed on
Yeah.
by a dog, and then he grieves Marva, and it's the same character, and you're crying.
Yeah. I mean that's the balance of Star Wars that we know so well, that we love. I've always used Return of the Jedi as an example. Like Return of the Jedi is Joe Yowza screaming into the into the camera, singing a song, but it's also Luke and Vader. Like it's all of these things at the same
Mhm.
time, which I love. And you're right that Andor, because it was such a such a dramatic sort of like spy thriller kind of opera. People forget that when it's funny, it's hilarious. Like my favorite comedy beat is Luthen throwing two tubes under the bus with
Yes. Oh,
Saw.
I
And
forgot
he's
about
like,
that.
"Do you have
Yes.
someone here?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I do. It's Tubes. He's my man." Like, it's amazing. It's so funny.
Or because I just rewatched the first couple episodes, like the scene with Vetch cracks me up every
Yes.
time. I love him. It's just, yeah, it's so fun. And I think it's, like you said, it's that balance of Star Wars. Like you kind of need both of those things
Hmm.
because, like, this sounds like maybe bad, but like when a character is just miserable all the time, you just kind of get used to them being miserable. But when you've
Hmm.
seen that character in a funny scene and then they're sad, you kind of remember like they can be happy, and I've seen them happy and they're losing that, and it's
Exactly.
Andor does it so well. And I'm so excited for season 2, and I can't wait, but I'm also like, take your time. You know what you're doing.
Hmm.
Take all the time you need. Just
And I'm glad that
yeah.
it'll be 2024. We don't need to cram the year. Yeah, this is not a criticism of anything that Lucasfilm's done. I understand why it had to be this way, and there's Disney business behind it too. But I couldn't help but feel it was kind of unfair to Bad Batch season 2 that it had to run alongside the flagship show, not just of Star Wars, but
Yeah.
of the streaming service.
Agreed.
Uh, so I'm
Yeah.
glad we don't have to do that again. Let's space them.
Yeah. Um yeah, and I think, I still not necessarily just Lucasfilm, I think things in general, and part of it was COVID, but I have a bit of a trust issue now with release dates.
Yeah.
Like even Andor was delayed like 3 times. So I'm like
Hmm.
2024, I'm prepared mentally for it to be 2025 too. But
Hmm.
I'm like I said, like take your time. It's worth it for whatever they do with Andor.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm trying. I do not remember the order everything was in, and it wasn't streamed, so I can't like check.
No, yeah. The
Um,
order I think I mostly remember, but you can go wherever you.
I think was it Ahsoka?
I If I remember correctly, it's Andor,
Was it Acolyte?
excluding Mando. I think it's Andor Acolyte Skeleton. I
Okay,
think. I
okay,
think.
that's what I think you're right. Okay, so Acolyte. Ugh, Acolyte.
Gorgeous.
I think genuinely, and this really surprised me as Rebels is my absolute favorite show, but I think Acolyte might be what I'm most excited for. And I love Rebels and Andor, but I don't know. I think I just miss lightsabers and Jedi and all those sorts of things. And I'm not fully caught up right now because I feel like 3 books came out when I was like with school and stuff. But I love the High Republic, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a Wookiee, and Amanda Stenberg's hair looks so cool in this trailer, and like sliding around. It's like a samurai movie.
Yes.
It Acolyte looked awesome.
I was so thrilled by this. I'm right there with you. I love the High Republic. It came at the right time. I've loved all these books and these characters, and it was one of those things where it's like when High Republic started, it felt like a pipe dream. Like, oh, it would be nice to see this on screen one day, but they'll never do that. And then the way that it's been so fully realized, and there, it's not like it's High Republic and we'll just say it like to make people happy. Like, no, gold and white, the characters, Vernestra being in this show as an older woman now, like just everything that they've done to bridge them. And then, like you said, the choreography, the feel. You talked about, people go to Celebration for different reasons. One of the things that I love the most about going is to hear the creators speak. Like, I'm a big panels person. I love a great Q&A with directors, showrunners, people behind the scenes like Doug Chang, John Knoll. And Leslie Headland has already become one of my favorite people that they have. The way that she spoke about her pitch, like, oh yeah, I went to meet Kathy and I said, what if it was Frozen meets Kill Bill? Like, first of all, what the hell does that mean? I don't know. But
I'm here
just
for it, though.
the sliding and the force push and like a horizontal shot and the way that it just feels so precise, and they intercut that with like that footage of all the little younglings, little babies at the beginning, all sitting, learning. And then of course it builds to that shot of like 17 lightsabers all going off at the same time. Like, it looks gorgeous.
And they have a fantastic cast that I'm really excited to see. I love The Good Place. And Manny Jacinto's in that, and he's awesome. I'm sure his character will be very different from what it is in The Good Place. But him talking, and just he was like talking about how they'd be on set and be like, man, we're making Star Wars. And I was like, yeah, you are, and it's gonna be amazing.
The energy
so
was so
excited.
good. I mean, Amanda coming out in Padme cosplay.
Yes.
It was like, this has nothing to do with Padme. This is just for me.
I know. I like how she just coming. She's like, this doesn't mean anything. Please don't read into this. I just wanted to be Pat. Like, I just wanted to cosplay.
Yeah, just wonderful. They have Carrie-Anne Moss was not there, but she's in the trailer from The Matrix. Dean Charles Chapman from Game of Thrones. Daphne Keane from Logan. And then Jonas coming back as a new Wookiee, as the Wookiee Jedi Master. I think his name is Kaldaka. Really excited for that character.
I know. Not Burry, unfortunately. I was like, maybe
not
it's
Burry,
but no.
If that's a well-kept secret and it's Burry, I would lose my mind. I don't feel like it will be.
I don't think it will be, but I like when they first walked out with the Wookiee, and I was like, Burry, please be Burry, please be okay.
I know. We're gonna be waiting for that one for a while.
I know. But and just the fact that they walked out with this show with him in the Wookiee costume, and then Leslie and just the For Light and Life, I was like, this show is gonna be it. This is gonna be it.
They had us right there. And Kathleen Kennedy saying she's seen the first 4 episodes and how amazing it is, and Leslie getting emotional, and just everything about it just looks great. And just the perspective I think that Leslie talked about was interesting too, because Star Wars is always small good guy versus big bad guy. And for Leslie to say, well, this is the time when good was never stronger. There were Jedi everywhere, and bad guys were the rebels. They were the tiny ones. They were the ones hiding. What is that like? What does that flip like? Is really, really exciting, because by the time of Phantom Menace, the idea of a Sith being around is so out there at that point. So the cool thing about High Republic has been seeing like, yeah, we fought villains, but nothing like that. So it's like the Jedi are just, we're rolling. Jedi life is easy for the most part, outside of, the leveler and stuff like that. But
well, that whole thing.
that whole incident.
Yeah, and they didn't announce it here at the studio showcase, but at the High Republic panel on Saturday, which I missed because it was at the exact time as my slot on the holonet stage.
Mhm.
But they announced Vernestra, who's my favorite High Republic character. So I was
That's
so
awesome.
excited. I was like,
Yeah.
that's like they brought back the one for me. And I saw the like someone took a picture they weren't supposed to and
Mhm.
like posted on Twitter. So I got like the weird angle, but she looks awesome and
I know
I'm
she's
I'm so excited.
bald and she's
Yes.
older, and it's also an interesting, just like, Star Wars like nerd thing where it's like, well, if the High Republic proper phase one time is like 230 years prior, this show is like 100 plus. Like this confirms that Miri Allens are long lived, which I didn't know that. The
Yeah.
Vernestra, I think we did the math the other night, a couple friends of mine and I, that Vernestra is gonna be like 116 if
Yeah,
they
because
so
I think they said Acolyte is about 100 years after phase. It's either 100 years after phase one or 100 years before Phantom Menace. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
in the
She's gonna
hundreds.
be she's gonna be old and wise
Wonder if
and
it's like a force thing too.
could be.
You know?
And like Zoe, imagine getting a fight with her light whip the way that we saw the choreography of
Oh,
this trailer.
yeah. No, I really love the light whip. And, like as soon as she got it in the book, I was like, this is awesome.
Mm,
I'm here for it. I'm obsessed with it. So getting to see it like in action on screen, if we do, um, will be awesome. And just getting more purple lightsabers on screen. We love Mace, but he's been hogging it for quite a while.
it's true. So is he still the only one? I think you're right.
Well, if we
Even in
count
Clone Wars.
visions, I think there's
Uh-huh.
one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're right
Um,
about that. If you
which
count
is, but
Visions,
it's in the Ninth Jedi, so it's like the dubious canon.
yeah.
But in canon, I think Mace is still the only one, and we
Mace
love
has been
Mace. At least
been
I do. I
hogging
know a
it.
lot of people don't. I like Mace. He's cool,
I like
but
Mace too. He's a
he's been hogging
complicated
it.
fellow, but I do like him.
He's been hogging it though, and I think it's Vernestra's turn to
I think
join
there's
up.
a good chance. We got another yellow one in the trailer,
Yes, and he
which
has
is
a yellow
nice.
one. Do you think you have to be bald to wield a purple one on screen?
It's like when they go to pick up their crystals as children, the
Just
kid's like, I want a purple one. They're like, sorry, you got hair. Can't. Sorry, them's the rules. There's a lot of unspoken rules here. If you have green skin, you will get green, unless you are bald, then you will get purple.
well, Barris is blue,
Oh, that's true.
so
That's true. That does break that. I was thinking Yoda Yaddle, but you're right.
and
Barris does break
Luminara
that.
has green though, so it's
Luminar has green,
she's
so it's
more the
almost there.
outlier.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been
Um,
lightsabers and you
this
with Zoe and Alden.
is everyone tries to come up with like how close they're to the dark side, what kind of role of the Jedi. No, it's about your hair.
Yep,
That determines lightsaber color.
it's true.
Um, yeah, okay. And then after Acolyte, which again, phenomenal. And again,
Hmm.
shout out to Manla Stenberg's hair in that trailer. She has
Hmm.
like I feel like I can't remember it properly now, which makes it sad, but she had like braids and with like these like cool like angled bangs and like
Yeah,
whole thing going on. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see everyone cosplay that because that looks awesome.
it was fantastic.
Um, and
Um,
I think the costumes too. Obviously, we have like the High Republic like Jedi
yeah,
robes, but like all the other costumes, the alien makeup and prosthetics and stuff we saw mostly in the background. I think, except obviously the Wookiee was like beautiful, and I'm so
with his top
excited.
knot, with his beautiful top knot
Yes,
hair.
Wookiee hairstyles.
Wookiee hairstyles are
Uh,
great, and there should be more of them.
yes.
Love that.
But yeah, super excited for Acolyte. Then there was Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew,
Um,
which I was so surprised by how much I loved it. Like I knew I would like
mhm,
it. Yeah,
yeah,
I've liked Mandalorian. I've liked Book of Boba Fett. I'm excited for Ahsoka, of course. So I had no doubt, like, oh, you're gonna do a fourth show? Cool. But is the trailer, they kept saying, oh, it's gonna be like ET, it's gonna be like Goonies, all these things. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But it really did feel that way.
yeah,
Um, and getting to see like a house in Star Wars. What does a normal house look like? And
yeah.
the kids in the forest, and one of the
Mhm.
kids is an ortolan like Max Rebo, which made me so happy. Little
Yeah,
blue
and
elephant baby.
I feel like outside of obviously the Ahsoka series, I feel like live action Star Wars has been missing alien protagonists,
Hmm.
which is obviously due to live action limitations and wanting to do the makeup and stuff every time, but it is really exciting to get that again. And just Skeleton Crew looked very colorful too. There was so much color in that trailer, which I was really excited about. Because like I love Book of Boba Fett and it had its own color palette, but like when you're on Tatooine, you're a bit limited in
Yeah,
some
very
ways. So
limited.
like getting to see all these vibrant places, like you said, the house. Some of my favorite things in Star Wars are the like extremely mundane, like the laundromat in Clone Wars, or like
Yeah.
one of my favorite gags in Book of Boba Fett is the like secretary who's like, no, you have to make an appointment. Just like these
Yeah.
very mundane thing in such a fantastical world. It always makes me laugh. And so it's cool to see that being explored more too.
Are you a big fan of the vibing Aqualish with the headphones who's
Yes.
who's like driving? Like
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no,
yeah.
anything like that where it grounds it a little bit. It's like you
Mhm.
remember all those weird aliens and stuff in the background, like they're just in the context of Star Wars, they're just, people doing their
They're
thing.
just people. Yeah, that's why I love Dr. Mandible so much. It's like, yeah, he's a giant ant, but he's got a PhD. He's working. He's a doctor. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that type of stuff's great. And this feels like that. Like, yeah, it's got its connectivity. Like you see Vane from Mandalorian in the trailer. So we know, like, obviously he survived the pirate battle. And presumably he'll go there. And he couldn't fight Din and Bo, so he's gonna go fight kids now, I guess. So it's like good for him, I suppose. But
He has
like a
to
bunch of
warm up,
kids,
work
like
back up to
exactly, yeah.
Mandalorians.
You're down here now. And a bunch of kids versus a pirate on the run, their parents, trying to tell them, please come home. Like all of that feels very like universal. And it's like I think there's an attitude in American media where it's like if it's gonna be younger, it has to be animated. And that's not necessarily true because we can have animation that can skew way up and be way harder edge. Like check out the Crosshair episodes from this season of Bad Batch. So why not do the flip? Let's do something for the children in live action and see
Mhm.
if it can hook them the same. I think is a fun idea. Um, Carrie Condon, who's one of my favorite actresses from Banshees of Inisherin, is in the trailer. They didn't even announce her; she just casually showed her, which is great. And then Jude Law as some kind of force user
Jedi,
at the end.
yeah,
Yeah, the
something.
kids certainly think so.
That'll be super cool. Yeah, he look, because they announced Skeleton Crew last year, and again, I was like, I'm not gonna like it. I like Star Wars. There
Mhm.
hasn't been anything where I really didn't like it.
Yeah,
So, but I was really happy seeing the trailer. It's like this looks like really like I'm excited for this. This looks really interesting, and there's a lot of elements I really liked about it. Had a point and I lost it. Um, but yeah, it looks fun. I think we saw some cool droids in that trailer too. I like
yeah,
droids. Uh,
absolutely. Same here. And the directors, very exciting roster. Bryce is going to be on it again. Um, David Lowery, who did The Green Knight, but then the Daniels, who did Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is so exciting.
yes. I
Ah,
One of my favorite movies, I think of all time now.
yeah,
I can say pretty confidently because at first, I was like, okay, recency bias, let it
yeah,
simmer, see if you're still your favorite, and I was like, no, it's still my favorite.
yeah.
So, yes,
Incredible stuff.
super excited for them. Also, the kids, I know they have all the kids in the cast, but they brought a number of the kids up on stage, and they seem like very charming, very sweet kids.
Yeah.
Um, I think Star Wars, after casting Vivian Lyra Blair in Obi-Wan Kenobi, she was, I mean, incredible.
Mhm.
She very much is Leia. I'm excited to see. They clearly have a good eye for child actors, and I'm very excited to see what these kids bring
Absolutely.
with some original characters.
Yeah, I agree. The Lucasfilm casting is on fire in this whole
Yes.
modern era, and the way that their kids have always worked out has been very very cool to see. And I'm excited for them. I'm excited for them to have the journey and to have someone like Jude to sort of look up to and guide them and everything, and for them to get that experience now before anyone's even really seen anything is very cool. Yeah, it's just very very exciting, and I'm excited to see how it fits in with Mandalorian and Ahsoka and these other shows because those all seem to make sense. And then this one
Hmm.
is like over here, and it's like,
Yeah.
what's going to happen with you guys? Like, is
Yeah.
Jude Law and these children, are they a part of the Thrawn conflict somehow? Like, I
Hmm.
don't know.
And I think that's super. interesting too, because like you said, like, Book of Boba Fett was set up by Mando. Ahsoka, I don't know if the Ahsoka series was much set up by Mando, but like she was first introduced in live action in Mando.
Mhm.
And like this is like they've definitely kind of talked about it like it's connected to Mando. Like they're like, yeah, like it's in the Mando timeline, blah blah blah. But like
Right.
it's not anything. I mean, maybe the finale somehow this week
Yeah.
will bring it up, but it's very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it fits in. I wonder if it'll be like an unknown regions, like connect to that part with Ezra and
Yeah.
Thrawn being possibly out there, but
That could be really interesting. That would be a fun shock if live action Ezra showed up in this show first before anything else.
I would be so sad if
Yeah.
if our, if we don't, because I'm, looking forward to Ezra and hopefully Ahsoka if we have to wait even more. But,
Which I guess
it'll
is the
still be
next thing
exciting.
to talk about.
Yes, Ahsoka. We saw there's a Ahsoka panel on Saturday too. But we
Yeah.
saw the trailer that was publicly released in the studio showcase. We got to see it streamed there. I think it was like just Dave and John for that part.
Yeah.
I don't think they brought out the cast yet. I think they saved that for Saturday. If
It's
I
just
remember
Rosario.
correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, Rosario was there.
Yeah.
Looks very exciting. Yeah, we saw, I'm trying to remember what was not in the extended version. We saw an extended version on Saturday.
Right. I think the difference is they're cut the same. Like they are
Yeah, it was just like a
effectively
couple
the same.
extra
It's just like
shots. Like
it's extra shots. So you get
um
there's the extended one has the green lightsaber.
yes.
The extended one has Thrawn's face and not
Mhm.
just the back of his head. The extended one has the Purgle shot at the end.
Yeah.
And it has
That-
more of what's her name? Shin?
Yes.
The dark sider apprentice
Mhm.
woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Huh.
But yeah, we got to see, and they announced it Saturday, but it kind of blends in with this Lars Mikkelsen returning as Thrawn, which is super exciting. He looked really good in the trailer. I was like, yeah, it's Thrawn. So
Yep. He's got the presence. It feels right.
yes.
And
I
everything about
love
this, like, oh, good.
what he brought I loved what he brought to Thrawn and Rebels, that
Me
like
too.
almost like creepy but like also not like voice, and that cadence he had. So I'm excited to see him continue to carry that.
Me too. I think he's got the right sort of like classiness. Like it's calm. It makes you uncomfortable because he's so calm. And because he isn't lying when he says that he appreciates art and things like that. He does, but he'll use it against you. And so he's a
Yeah.
very interesting, I think for people that are going to experience him for the first time, it's going to be a big shock, this kind of Star Wars villain.
Yeah.
Because I keep forgetting there are people that are going to watch this because they love Mandalorian and Book
Yeah.
of Boba Fett that didn't watch Rebels, that are going to see Sabine and Ahsoka and Hera and Thrawn for the first time, which is really crazy. And I'm excited for them. But yeah, I mean, just this trailer just knocked my socks off. The red Lucasfilm logo, the way it was shot, the you can tell that the directing crew and Dave wanted it to feel so fantasy, like wide shots of her with her hood and then doing the lightsaber spin and Hu Yang and just all of the drama, and then getting Mon Mothma in there. Genevieve is in the show.
And I'm a big Resistance fan, which I think it flies under the. I think Resistance suffered from airing like when they were kind of leaving Disney XD behind, but right before Disney Plus came out. And I think
100%.
Resistance just kind of fell under the rug, just poor timing. But I love Resistance, and we got to see Kaz's dad.
Kaz's dad, I know.
Is kind of a jerk, but he was there, and I was like, Resistance
not the best, but it was so cool to see. Yeah, that Senator Ziono being there. I guess it looks like that's one side of a meeting that we see later with Hera, and so to see these New Republic leaders together, super surreal. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera is like, if you had told me that years ago, I've loved her since Sky High and Scott Pilgrim and all that. So it's just it's so cool to see.
She looked really good. And yeah, I'm excited. Chopper looked fantastic. But Chopper is always great.
Yeah, Chopper always slays. So much about this really worked for me, and we were talking a little bit off air the Sabine of it all, the scene that we love her so much, to see her speak, to see Natasha's a little bit of her performance and sort of like the cross arms, sort of like Sabine swagger, like the it's been a
Mhm.
while, like
She's
her and
got,
Ahsoka,
yeah,
like
that kind of attitude. I'm curious to see because, you know, even though back in Rebels it was set up that it was these two characters going on this journey, Sabine and
mhm,
Ahsoka really didn't interact very much at all in Rebels. There's like a few tiny moments. There's one of the comics
yeah,
that they interact, but like it'll be interesting to see. They're my top two favorite characters. So it'll be really fun to see my top two favorite characters get like their buddy show
yeah.
and see their relationship because it seems a bit tense at first, and Rosario and Natasha even talked about that a bit. There's some tension. I'm curious to see like the source of that. I'm excited to see more Sabine and Hera together. I think I say this about every dynamic in Rebels for the record, but they're one of my favorite dynamics. Um and I love that, you know, almost like that mother-daughter bond they have, and I'm curious to see how that's developed. And they didn't show him in the trailer, but I know we're gonna get Jason Syndulla content, and I'm gonna be really annoying when we get Jason Syndulla content because I think he's really cute, and I'm really excited to see a bit more of him as like a character and not
Yeah,
just a 3-second little creature on the screen.
the little creature, little green haired thing. What are you?
I last celebration I dyed my hair green for Jason Syndulla.
Oh,
And then I got sunburned and I looked like an Oompa Loompa. But
Jason's kind of orangey, isn't he? A
yeah, he
little
is a
bit,
little orangey, yeah.
kind of, yeah.
But I'm excited. Also, Sabine and Ahsoka both have a matching patch.
Hmm.
And I hope we saw Zeb and Mando, and I hope we get Zeb too, and he has the patch on a jacket.
I still can't believe we saw Zeb. Like, because of
Oh my
Celebration,
gosh,
that feels like so long ago,
I
but
know.
I
No, that
still
was
shook.
insane, and he looked so good. Because
He looked
for
awesome.
me personally, Jaro to Paul in Fallen Order was a bit off-putting for me. I think it was the human eyes. It was a
Yeah,
bit off-putting. So I saw Jaro to Paul and I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't know if I want Zeb in live action, but he looked absolutely beautiful.
yeah, it was lovely.
And I really want Zeb. I want more Zeb. I
One
love Zeb.
scene, one scene of all the surviving Ghost crew members will be enough serotonin to last me a lifetime.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and Zeb, uh I know it'll probably won't because of the mocap and everything, but I really want Zeb and Sabine to hug because I feel like they have such a great
Mm,
dynamic. That's something like if you watch season one of my
mhm.
favorite things is like look in the background over the quick cutaway shots of like Sabine and Zeb like giving each other little like looks, like this like judgy looks when someone does something stupid. And I
Yeah,
love that. Like their dynamic, I could talk about it forever. Their dynamic is wonderful, and I want some Zeb and Sabine in
that'd be so wonderful.
Ahsoka.
I really love it. I just it's so surreal. Like it just feels like a dream, like to be able to talk about this and much was made of like, oh, her long hair, and she's like kind of contemplative, looking at her helmet, almost like in a ceremonial type way. I wonder if that's going to be the hair cutting scene.
I'm sure
This
it will
is
be.
yeah, this is
It
Dave
was it was
Filoni.
giving very
Yeah,
Kanan, and Dave Filoni loves
exactly.
his parallels.
Dave loves a
Um,
parallel. Dave loves tradition. He loves samurai stuff. He loves myth. There are two things that you can guarantee you're going to get a haircutting scene a la Kanan or even Mulan or something where she puts aside the jacket and the casual clothes and puts the armor back
mhm.
on, and you can see the deep purple is up here in her
Yeah,
roots and everything. And then the other thing is that whenever that is when we'll probably get the change from gray to white for Ahsoka.
yeah, because that's
The
in the epilogue.
Yeah, and the
Um,
production code name for this show is Stormcrow, which is one
mm,
of Gandalf's many names in
yeah.
Lord of the Rings. And
Dave loves his Lord
so,
of the Rings too.
and he
Dave loves
loves
a
his
lot
Lord
of
of the
things,
Rings.
and
If
he
you could
puts them
track what
into
kind of
Star
nerd
Wars.
he is, then you will
You
figure out
can
what's going to happen.
you can make a list like, okay, that was Dave because he gave the cool character a cowboy hat, so that's Dave.
As
He
Dave
made he made
was a
his like
wolf.
one of his favorite Jedi Plo Koon. Oh, and he just so happens to have the clone named Wolf assigned to him, and oh,
Hmm.
Wolf just happens to be like the coolest looking clone.
Yeah.
Like, huh, interesting.
Yep.
But I love it because we would all do the same
Oh,
thing.
100%.
If
100%.
yeah. So yeah, and I'm excited because I love I think I mentioned I'm not crazy about long hair Sabine, but I think it's
Mhm.
also it's going to be part of her character arc that she's maybe reconnecting with herself more, and like that's when
Right.
she's like bring the short hair back. Like that's more her.
Because that's the
Than
thing, is that
putting her
like
back
we
on.
know, like we know that she decided to stand guard on Lothal and sort of like keep her promise and keep Ezra's home safe, and like there's all that power in the epilogue, but realistically, it's also got to be a really bittersweet time,
Mhm.
not knowing if he's okay, not knowing if anyone's okay. Who knows who checks in when? Everyone's
Yeah.
busy. Zeb's clearly working now, like he's
Hmm.
in the New Republic, so it's like maybe it was also a depressing time, and like
Yeah.
Ahsoka showing up and she's in gray and Sabine's got long hair, and maybe the two of them are like, what are we doing? Like
Right.
they haven't made the decision to leave yet.
And it's also we know during this time when she's on Lothal is when the attack on Mandalore happens. After
Hmm.
Sabine gives, and I don't know how much they're going to get into this in the show if they do at all, but we still don't know the status of the Wrens of Ursa and Tristan and
No.
Ulrich and what happened to them. I hope they're fine. In my head they're fine right now. But like Sabine could be having some feelings about that. Like I was on Lothal. I'm the one that gave Bo-Katan the dark saber, and she handed it over to Gideon, and like those kind of feelings too. It'll be interesting to pick a Sabine back up again after so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean she's obviously a character very important to me. A cosplayer, you could probably see her art. I painted her art all over my walls.
That's great. I
And
love
here I have
your doors back there that have
yes, I
Ahsoka
have.
symbol and
That was
everything.
my COVID project. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna start painting my walls. Like, who cares? So I have a puffer pig, Ketsu, got the Kanan moonbeam, got a Purgle back there, got all sorts
That's
of
awesome.
things
We should
everywhere.
manifest. We're manifesting it right here. Live action puffer pigs. They're coming.
Oh my gosh, puffer pigs and everything. I
Yeah,
think
I
any
agree.
Star Wars show could be improved by the presence of a puffer pig.
I would love to see Din Djarin have to encounter a puffer pig. I'd be like,
Oh, because
what is
he and
this?
Grogu would bond with it, and that would
Yes.
be like the greatest thing ever, and also a problem, and
Hmm.
that would be amazing.
Grogu would try to take one home, and Din would be like, no. And Grogu would be like, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
yes,
yes.
yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm trying to think else. So seeing the like we obviously got like a taste of live action Purgles back in like way back a million years ago in the Mando season 3 premiere.
No.
But we got to see like a snippet of one like up close flying right up to the face. And Sabine had the short hair and the armor
Hmm.
in that one shot and she looked great. Um so I'm like more Purgo stuff because
Yeah.
that'll be so much. So much. Thrawn.
So
We did get to
much.
see a tiny we have tiny little hologram of Ezra too.
Which,
Tiny.
even though it's a tiny little hologram, obviously everyone zoomed in on it. I will say, I think if you outside of Zeb, which was obviously the most difficult thing to translate, I thought that Ezra's outfit would be the hardest of the costumes to do. It looks
Hmm.
good.
It
It
does
looks
look
good.
good. It is a very silly outfit.
Yeah, because it's an
The
orange
season
jumpsuit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and because like at least like seasons 1 and 2, it's like okay, orange jumpsuit. Like a lot of people have that bits of armor vest, like kind of makes sense as an outfit. Whereas
Mhm.
season 3, and like people have cosplayed and it looks cool, but it's like yeah, you have this orange jumpsuit, and then like something's here,
Like a
something's
little
going on here.
cowly
Like
piece. Yeah.
he's got this whole thing. But I think yeah, it looked good. I'm sure he'll be wearing something different. That's definitely an old hologram, but
Right. Yeah.
and I'm excited to see what he's wearing. If he's rocking the long hair again, if he's got the beard, you know.
Hmm.
And
If
if
we
he has like
see
a
him
Kanan
again,
look, I'm just gonna start like
that's
throwing
exactly what I was
things.
gonna say. You're
I'm just
you're
gonna
just like me. Like if he's got a ponytail pulled back and ooh, I'll cry. I'll
yeah.
start crying.
So I don't know if it'd be worse if it was like season 3 Kanan or if he was like a season 1 Kanan with like one
Oh, with
thing
an
of
armor
armor because
piece.
he doesn't have his lightsaber, so he could be using a blaster, and that's like the gunslinger one arm.
It'd be so
Um,
sad. And like, look, it's one of those situations where this is a whole podcast in and of itself, so I won't take us too far down a tangent. But like, there's always going to be a little bit of a complicated feeling, and I understand that for people and for the actors. Like, I don't think Tia Sakar is making it much of a secret that it's a little hard for her, like
Yeah.
some of her social media posts, which I totally understand. I also think she's a brilliant person, and she probably logically understands that she's like 18 years older than Sabine is supposed to
Hmm.
be at this point. She doesn't really look like her. So like it's gonna be a crapshoot. Some
Yeah.
people like Steve Blum, it's like it's easy. With Lars and Katie Sackhoff as Bo, like you happen to look perfect. So it's gonna be a mixture. I say all that to say, will there be a Freddie Prinze Jr. anything? Physically, no. But his moment in Rise of Skywalker, his big line of like, in the heart of a Jedi lies her strength,
Yeah.
gets me every time. So if we get even a voice thing with
Hmm.
him over Jason or over Ezra or something like that, I
Yeah.
will melt. I think that's
Totally.
all you need.
I'm still slightly delusional, and I'm like, well, maybe he's okay. Like, we can bring him back, right? But I don't know if that would be him. But yeah, just anything, and I'm sure just based on the Ahsoka panel, they were talking about um, Hera's still struggling with that. That's a really hard thing for her to deal
Yeah.
with losing him and then being pregnant at the same time. And I'm sure like being pregnant and then being a single mom and everything through this war that she's now a leader of, that's
Yeah. It's
a
not like
lot,
she
and it'll
got to
be
just like raise him in peace. Like, no, she just had to keep
yeah,
going and going and going.
yeah. And it'll be interesting to see the ramifications of that, because that's something I love about Rebels as compared to some other Star, which isn't knocking anything, it's just different story structures. But
Mm,
Rebels just lets characters grieve and feel
yeah.
and talk about what they're feeling. And I'm excited, even though it'll be I think they said like 7, 8 episodes, 6 episodes, some a smaller amount of
Somewhere
episodes that
there.
are
Yeah.
longer compared to Rebels, which up until season 4 was like usually 20 some, like 20-30 minute episodes. So you have that different structure. I'm excited to see that that's clearly still in their mind of letting these characters feel and talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. And I think, we're sort of talking about the showcase stuff and the Saturday
It's
stuff, but
blending together.
totally. And it's like they knew, like they gave the poster, the trailer, and everything at showcase, which they had to, but Saturday they saved Lars. So it's like it really was kind of like 1-2 part thing.
Mhm.
But it was great, and it was a great way to announce the show fully in August, give the date and everything. And um very
And
excited.
I also, we've talked so much about these characters we love popping up. Shin and the other
Uh
villain,
Balin.
Balin,
I think it's
look
Balin,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they look great. I
And
love the off red, orange red lightsabers.
yes.
Um,
Um,
and that
and
they,
there's like one shot of Ahsoka fighting like some kind of Inquisitor in there too.
yeah.
Uh, which is cool. Because this is the first time we've seen on screen, at least. I'm not fully up on all the comics. So I could be wrong about something there, but on screen at least, an Inquisitor after like A New Hope. I think
Hmm. I believe you're right.
Rebels is still our last Inquisitor appearance with the end of season 2. So
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see like what her deal is.
Yeah.
And
How did they survive the fall of the Empire? And did they
it's
abandon the
and
Empire? Like,
is
what's
she
going
an
on?
Inquisitor? Like she looks like one, has the lightsaber, the outfit, but like maybe
Hmm.
she was like found it in the dumpster and was like, oh, cool outfit.
Yeah.
Like it'll be interesting. And is it maybe a Thrawn related Inquisitor with the Imperial Remnant?
Yeah.
Is she her own thing?
That's interesting
It's
too. Because there's going to be multiple villains, not just Thrawn, but also these Darksiders, also Morgan Elsbeth.
Yes,
Like,
she's coming back,
there's
which is I
lots of
thought she
different
was
threats.
cool in Mando. So
Yeah,
I'm
I agree.
excited that she's not going to be a one note
Yeah.
character, and we'll get to
Time
learn
for a
more.
little rematch, maybe.
Yes, a rematch. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to see Ahsoka trailer. Super exciting stuff. Um,
So
yeah,
that's all the shows, and then there was the movie
the movie. We
announcements.
didn't get to see anything of the movies. We got the movie announcements.
Yes,
Um, so there's the like pre High Republic
pre everything.
movie.
25,000 years.
Yes.
before
That's like a
anything.
scale of time I can't even fully comprehend.
that's
To
that's
be
like
honest.
way far back with James Mangold
Uh,
described as a biblical
a biblical
epic
epic, which is
first
super
Jedi.
fun. Yes, First Jedi. So it'll be exciting to see because we talk about with even the High Republic, like yeah, it's way before, so it's like different technology's different. They don't have astromechs yet, like
Mhm.
hyperspace isn't developed, but this is like what do they even? What's anything like? Are there droids? Like are there ships?
Yeah.
Like how
Are there
advanced are their
droids? Is this
ships?
how
There's no
do you travel
hyperspace.
everywhere at sublight? Yeah. So
Like it'll
is it just
be
gonna be Ahch-To? Is it gonna be that
yeah.
like that temple? Or are we gonna see caretakers maybe? Or that's it? Like a one planet story?
Yeah.
Discovering the force too? Like it's it I like that it's an idea where all of us have to go, I don't know. Like I think
Yeah,
that
like
that makes it exciting.
that sounds cool. Like I don't know any characters that can appear in that. Like even
Nope.
even stuff that does is like tendentially unrelated. Like even Skeleton Crew. Like I every single series since Mandalorian, I'm saying, oh, I bet we'll get Hondo. We have not gotten Hondo yet.
It
Uh,
feels like
but
it
I
could
I
be
can't even
any
say that
time.
this time. No, he's gonna come when I least expect. When I give up. When I give up, that's when we'll get Hondo.
Once you stop
But
thinking about Hondo is when Hondo, which is such a Hondo thing too, right?
right, no, it works. So I'm holding out for Skeleton Crew right now. Maybe that pirate was like, well, um, my old crew went down. Let's go find this
Right.
guy
Go
I've
try
heard
to work for
about.
Hondo. That'd
Um, so
be great.
that's what it is right now. I was like, oh, Boba Fett, totally, totally. I was like, oh, maybe like Obi-Wan. He knew Obi-Wan. No, but I have a good feeling about Skeleton Crew.
Delta Crew, Hondo Watch
Oh yeah,
2023.
maybe he will be in the Mangold movie. Maybe we discover Hondo is a eternal force being of chaos.
Yeah, that's what we don't. He's a Mortis god.
Yeah,
Hondo is the exiled Mortis god.
he's
That actually, I joke, but that might be the only thing that could connect. Are the Mortis gods that
Mortis.
that
Yeah,
could be
that's
interesting.
true. It'll be interesting to see just as the first Jedi, but is it like are there other force orders? Like,
Yeah,
first Jedi doesn't mean for first force user. Um
yeah.
like I don't know what the Sith's deal is, if that's gonna even be a thought with that movie, or it'll
Hmm.
be interesting to see if it's I'm curious to see if it's more of a like what does it mean to touch the force, or more of a like what does it mean to be a Jedi and to create this philosophy and follow that. And
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
full of potential, but very excited that it's mangled and
Yes.
excited. I love the way they presented this whole thing, by the way. George Lucas said it should be forward and backwards, and so we're gonna do right now, the future, and the past. The timeline came up,
Yes, it was a
and
beautiful timeline.
yeah, it was
With
great.
like it was with all the different symbols and stuff. I'm sure there's a
Yeah,
picture of it.
couple new
um
symbols. The newest one is the two new ones are on the end. They had Old Republic, High Republic, and then all the ones we know. The end is New Jedi Order, and
mhm.
then the beginning is Dawn of the Jedi. So
Yes,
that's mangled.
and then
Then they
we go
casually were like, let's introduce these directors. Oh, James Mangold. Then they just casually like Dave Filoni, and the
Dave
place
Filoni. Oh,
lost
and
it.
I'm so excited. Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
lost their minds. So he is doing it's almost like it feels like an Avengers like Endgame of like the stuff we're doing with the Mando era right now, with like Mando
Hmm.
and like tying together this kind of New Republic versus Thrawn slash Imperial Remnants thing, which will
Yeah.
be pretty cool. It's hard to say too much right now because it's like we're still looking for like how Ahsoka plays out. Maybe
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew will play
Ahsoka,
into it.
Skeleton Crew got another Mando
Mando,
season.
yeah, I think all these are quite a few years off, but it's something to
Yes.
look
The
forward to.
furthest along is the one we haven't mentioned, which is
Best for
the
last for me, at
Ray
least.
Skywalker. Oh, I was
Yes,
over the moon.
I fully admit they said New Jedi Order at 15 years after Rise of Skywalker. I was like tensed up. They brought Daisy Ridley out, sobbing,
Oh,
tears, like full
yay.
sobbing. Ray is
Makes me
such,
happy.
I feel like people always talk about, you always hear like either 1977 or 99 or like any of the other ones. People talk about like their first like live action Star Wars movie in a theater and like that experience. For me, that was Force Awakens, and that was Rey. When she,
Mhm.
I still cry every time when she pulls the lightsaber out of the snow. It was such an important moment. I was like a 14-year-old then, so it was like, and it's like, oh, she's me, and
Yeah.
that I'm like getting emotional now. So when they brought her back on stage, just sobbing, just tears
It
everywhere.
was amazing.
It
And
was the
did you have
best.
any idea it was gonna happen?
No, I
None.
know. Well, because I'm very, you know, there's so many rumors about everything, and they're
Yeah.
usually not right. So like, you hear like, oh, they're doing a Rey movie, but in the
Yeah.
same, like, someone will say with the exact same amount of confidence, oh, they're decanonizing the sequel trilogy. So it's like, you
Yeah.
know, so it's
And
like
that
I just
those
my
people are having a
oh,
rough few months.
they gotta be, yeah, they're not having a good time,
You got
but I am.
Rey and Zellens, Praetorian Guards, Book
uh
of Boba Fett. We had Luke School. Oh, they're
Setting
just
up the cloning stuff, yeah,
mhm.
they're not having a good time, but I am.
No.
So
Yeah. Yeah, we're having a blast over here. Yeah, we had heard the day before, not definitively that she was coming, but her stylist posted online and said, "Who's excited for Star Wars Celebration tomorrow?" We were
oh.
like, "Why do you care?" Like we were so, oh no, she is it happening?
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean, like I said, like my gut with rumors is I hear it and I'm like, okay, probably not true. I'm gonna move on with
Yeah,
my life. Unless there's a
yeah.
picture, and even then, now we've got the AI stuff people are doing, so it's like I don't
Hmm.
even know if I can trust that. But so I did remember like months ago, Daisy Ridley posted like picture of the Yoda statue, and of course we're all like,
Yeah. And she was like, "Oh,
Daisy,
I'm
what?
just getting lunch
I'm just
there."
getting lunch. It's like, you liar.
Sure.
But then
Because I eat
I
at
didn't,
the office.
right, because you're a British actor and you just happen to go to San Francisco to grab lunch. Like, okay.
Allegedly. Yeah.
I see you.
It was
But then
great.
I
I
just
mean,
kind
it's
of
so
forgot about it because
exciting.
it was a while ago, and then they brought her out, and I cannot remember the director's name.
Oh,
Um,
Sharmeen Obed-Chinoy.
yes. Uh, and I haven't seen any of her stuff, but I looked her up really quickly after, and very
Hmm.
excited. I also think it'll be cool to have a woman directed Star Wars movie about
Hmm.
Rey, such an important female character, but who at this
Absolutely.
point has been written and directed by men on screen.
Yeah.
So it'll be really exciting to see her with that more female perspective. And
Absolutely.
just
Rey at 35 years old in canon.
yeah.
So she's 35-year-old Jedi Master. She's a woman with all these adventures and these adventures we haven't seen. And I think to get a veteran, um, woman in the industry to do that is like it's it's like it feels so surreal still to even
Yeah.
like we were there, we saw it happen. It still feels like a weird dream. Um, and Daisy seems so excited, and for them
Yeah.
to say like flat out, like it wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't like Daisy's back, good night. Like no, it was specifically New Jedi Order. This many years.
Hmm.
This is what we're talking about oppression. We're talking about people that don't want to see the Jedi come back. We're talking about like all these themes. And of course, everyone has big questions. What about Finn and Poe? What about
Hmm.
Chewie? Like, yeah, we'll get there. But
Yeah.
for this to just sort of be a thing, and this is the one that that's already been, there's already a draft of this script. They got someone else coming in now and rewriting it and finishing it up. And this, I think, is they still have a movie on the schedule for 2025. I feel like
Hmm.
this is the
This
next
could be it.
play. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think to me, because I know it was the like Disney shareholders meeting kind of thing when they
Hmm.
announced like a ton of Star Wars projects, and then a lot of them have been canceled since, or we just haven't heard like anything.
Yeah.
um so I think they were very deliberate with announcing these. So I know a lot of people are like, oh well, I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe when
Mhm.
I see it. Like, we'll see if it even comes out. I think these, I'm pretty confident they
Yeah.
wouldn't, because announcing at Celebration is like a very sacred thing.
This
So
is yeah,
far
it's celebration and the
they've delivered.
contexts are all different. One
Yeah.
of them is Dave. That's gonna happen. Like that's gonna happen, and they've
Yeah.
already laid the groundwork. One of them is Mangold, who just made a movie with them. And so it's like the experience must have been good on
Hmm.
Dial of Destiny. And then the other one, you don't sign an actor if your movie's not happening.
Yeah.
Like people can be like, oh, Rogue Squadron, they announced that. Yes, they did. But Rogue Squadron didn't have a cast. It didn't
Hmm.
have a canon timeline. It didn't have details. It didn't have it's still unfortunate, and there are other things like you said that are not canceled, but not yet on, like Lando. Um,
which I hope we
but
get because I love Lando.
me too, and I love Donald's Lando. I think he's brilliant.
I think my
Um,
dream still, I've been saying this for years, and my dream is still Donald Glover Lando with Taika Waititi directing. I think that
oh,
combo would be just
that'd be so good.
electric. Yeah.
I love that. My whole thing with Lando is I've always wanted it to be Billy D narrates
Yes.
and Donald acts. Like if Billy D was just like, let me tell you a story about this one
Hmm.
time,
Well, you
like,
could
and
do
then
the
it
Lando, his
transitions.
like vlogs
This
from
book,
Solo, the
yeah, this
Lando
book, yes,
Chronicles.
yeah, be
Um,
great.
yeah, and I think, we're talking about Lando, but like also like the setup of a seemingly a story maybe with Janna at the end of Rise of Skywalker, like if they
Yeah,
could, you know, play both sides of that a little bit. But yeah, but
that'd be great.
and yeah, with Rey, I know there's a lot of like what about Finn, Poe, Chewie, BB-8. I mean, I'm sure we'll get BB-8. We love BB-8.
Hmm.
But whether or not we get those characters in, I'm still excited because it's Rey. I mean,
Hmm.
I hope we'll see some of her friends, but
Yeah,
even if it's just Rey, like she's such an important character, and
yeah.
they'll have a amazing supporting cast for her,
And that's the thing is that it's not
regardless.
episode 10.
Right.
It's a Ray film. So if it was episode 10, I expect to see everybody. If it's just a Ray film, that I think frees them up to create new characters. Maybe we check in with Poe for a scene. Like if it's
Mhm.
like, make up anything. Like Ray needs to go to Coruscant for whatever. Like, yeah, Poe, it makes sense he'd be there. Like, um, but in the same way that Luke had lots of adventures that were without Han and Leia, and Anakin and Obi had adventures without each other, throughout the Clone Wars. Like she can be doing her thing here, and the other heroes can be doing other things. Finn, though, does feel like the one that,
Yeah.
given his force sensitivity, that he might be there with her, and
Yes,
that's
Finn
exciting.
is, I think, the main, and I say I love Poe, but I could do without Poe maybe, but like Finn is one I do really hope. And I know it's, it depends on John Boyega and he's booked and busy, he has his own production company and everything.
Yeah.
So it's on if he's willing to come back and if he's able to come back. But I do hope we'll get, it's also like in the specials, in the Lego specials.
Hmm.
She's training him.
She's training him, and I would love
It'll
to
be cool.
see, like, if it's been 15 years. Yeah, maybe we don't see that training, but if
We see him
she's
as a master
as a
or
master, yeah, if she's Yoda, he's Mace Windu. Like she, like that was her first student. Finn Dameron or Finn
Finn
Skywalker,
Dameron. Finn
whatever.
Dameron.
I want Finn Dameron. Yeah,
I want Finn Dameron.
if it's Finn Master Finn Dameron.
That'll be the check-in, like, okay, hold on, I gotta stop at Poe and Finn's house real quick. Gotta get
Yeah,
some supplies.
yeah. Oh, that'd be so great. Ah, that'd be wonderful. And then, of course, R2, Chewie, 3PO.
Mhm.
These are characters that are so timeless that they could easily be popped in as well.
Yes, yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, we know Jonas is still doing Lucasfilm stuff now with Acolyte.
Mhm.
So, he's around. R2 and BB-8 are always around. They have to be. They're
Absolutely, and
robots.
Dio too.
And
Yeah,
Dio, oh yes.
love Dio.
And that'll be cool to see Dio, working with someone who is essentially an agent of the Sith so long, maybe
Yeah.
taking part in the rise of the Jedi again.
Hmm.
And he's just so cute.
I love Dio. I could talk about Dio all day. Love him.
Yeah. But I think that was it for Star Wars. I think it was after that we got an Indiana Jones trailer,
Hmm.
which I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
then
I
that
think they released
whole
it
the
too,
whole
but it's
chase
very good.
scene.
Yes, and we got the chase scene. They said it was like right literally in the middle of the movie.
Hmm.
And it's super fun. I loved I did they say her character's name?
Helena.
Helena.
She's
I
Helena.
loved
Yeah.
her little dynamic with Indy. I think
Hmm.
that's gonna be super fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. His goddaughter, thorn in his
Yeah.
side, on her own adventure, getting up to trouble. It just feels right. Harrison plays the old man mentor so well.
Yeah,
Really excited.
he's very much made a great transition of, Han and Indiana Jones both being this like specific, like, the younger suave guy, and then he's made the transition into playing those characters as the older mentor super well. He did with Han. I guess we haven't technically seen yet with Indy, but I'm very excited for that. My flight home, the little screen thing on the back of the seat, had all the Indiana Jones movies. And my flight had just enough time to watch them all. So I had an Indiana Jones
fantastic.
marathon on the flight home. It was great. I was like living life.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's perfect. What a time. That's perfect mood. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's this showcase. It was awesome.
That's
like
a
I said, I just
showcase,
needed to
yeah.
like recover. We really talked about the Ahsoka panel.
We did. We kind of combined them, which I guess was smart because if we didn't, then it would be like, oh yeah, and Lars. Like that's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a really cool panel to see them talk about, taking over these legacy characters. And there's always gonna be a little part of me that's gonna miss, Vanessa as Hera and Tia as Sabine.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll see these characters animated again in the future.
And that's the
in
hope,
some
right?
way.
Is that we didn't get rid of Ashley's Ahsoka. We just have two Ahsokas now.
Yeah.
Like we went back to Tails, still Ashley. Like that's what I want for them is as it applies, we use who makes sense for that thing.
Yes. And I know like there's been like maybe the Ahsoka series will like set up an animated Rebel sequel. I don't know if it will quite be that, but yeah, I'm very excited. There's definitely like they showed respect for like these are the actors that brought these characters to life. Initially were carrying the legacy. Dave named the entire Rebels cast, which was very nice. And just I think it looks super cool.
Yeah.
Ahsoka series. I'm excited for
Me too.
chopper shenanigans and
also just like the potential, like you don't want everything to be like, what if this person meets this person, like you want what's natural, but it's like there are things where it's like if we're all playing in this timeline now, like I would love to see like Chopper and Grogu. I would love to see
that would be dangerous.
that would be so dangerous. I would love to see Din and Zeb.
Yeah.
Like Sabine and Din obviously is a huge one where it's like he needs to meet her, I think, for his growth. Like he needs to meet somebody who
he might have like a straight up heart attack though.
Seeing
that's my worry.
Her
he would
custom
just like
armor.
he just dropped dead. Like he was already a lot with Bo-Katan taking her helmet off. She takes her helmet off and it's purple. She's got all these colors. He might fall over.
That's true.
But I think that would be fun. Oh my gosh, Jason and Grogu, the little green babies.
Oh, Green Baby Squad. That'd be amazing.
So cute.
I would love that. I would love that. I would love Zeb and Grogu.
I feel like Zeb, because he had that episode where he like had to take care of that little Ithorian baby and he was like very scared of like breaking it. I feel like that would be a very similar thing.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. Yes, I'm excited for Ahsoka. Like I said, the original characters look really cool too. Obviously the forefront of my mind is Rebels, but seeing these like cool characters, I'm like, oh, like what's your deal? Like how do you fit into all this? It'll be really cool. And the fandom was there. Getting to see like the ghost, like the interior of it in live action. Because they bring the little Falcon sets to Celebration. If they bring the ghost to Celebration,
I'll cry.
I don't know what I'll do. I'll cry.
I mean, even just the mural wall being there was.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I was so happy.
Yeah.
I brought the epilogue Sabine because I was like, oh, I didn't get to go up, and I really wanted to go up and tap Ezra's face, but it was all roped off. I didn't want to get in trouble.
The first day when we were queued for the showcase, when I saw you, a buddy of ours who I guess saw on Twitter, like someone like maybe a Jedi Master VIP, I don't know, someone who got on the floor early, posted a picture and he texted us and said, the mural. We were like, what mural? What are you talking about? He's like, the Rebels mural's on the floor. We were like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, I visited that every day. It was just so amazing.
Yeah.
To see that. And we'll get to see it in the Ahsoka show too. I'll be interested to know if, how it plays into like, because we see like the long hair Sabine waiting at the tower. Like, is that because I assume they're gonna maybe not recreate shot for shot, but like basically do the epilogue scene again. So I
Yeah.
wonder if
I wonder if
how
it's
that's gonna fit.
like my theory is that long hair Sabine is still painting it.
Yes.
Like we'll see like long hair Sabine with no armor, she's like actively working on it.
Mhm.
And then I don't think they recreate the epilogue shot for shot, but they do the scene again from Ahsoka's point of view.
Yeah.
So maybe we see like Ahsoka the White walk in with the staff and see Sabine looking at it.
Yeah.
So we see the same scene twice, but from opposite ends of the room.
Yes, that would be really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see because they've set up so much. So I wonder, you know, with I think the standard is probably like 8 episodes, 6 to 8 episodes.
Yeah.
How they're gonna pace it, like how much is gonna be what. We also know they
Yeah.
announced it when they announced the show. Hayden's in it.
Yeah,
But
which has been like a terribly kept secret that no one that Hayden was
I
like,
thought they announced it. I didn't know it was supposed to be a secret.
well, they didn't announce it, but it was reported by like Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, all
It's one
that.
of those.
But
Okay.
it's one of those that has weight because on the Kenobi press tour, someone was like, "And you're also gonna be in Ahsoka," and Hayden didn't know how to dodge the question, and he was like, I don't think I can talk about that one."
um Yeah, but so it'll be cool to see, like, is it Force Ghost? Is it flashbacks?
A Force
Is it a
ghost of Anakin
mix?
Skywalker talking to Ahsoka Tano in live action will send me.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
need
I
to take
think
a
a
day
lot of
off.
things about this show will send me.
You're gonna need
I might
to,
not make it through the
yeah, you're gonna need to
series.
call your professors, call your managers, call whatever, be like, I need a week off.
Yeah. A week off every week for 8 weeks.
Yeah, I'm taking a sabbatical. I'm going on vacation.
um, yeah, that I'm excited to see these new versions of these characters I love so much. And it's cool that they're when they're marketing, they're putting Ahsoka, Sabine, and Hera at the forefront because those are my top three. I wouldn't say even
Yeah.
above just Star Wars characters. My top three
You are
characters.
literally
I'm
wearing the three of
wearing.
them
I
right
am
now.
wearing them. I have. I cosplay Sabine and Ahsoka. I have a Hera tattoo. My room is Sabine.
Oh,
My
that's great.
graduation cap was Ahsoka. Like, so it's really exciting to see it be like because back in Rebels, even when I don't know if the three of them don't interact together at all. I don't know. Ahsoka and Hera and Ahsoka and Sabine don't interact very much either.
No,
So
no, not
obviously
really.
Sabine and Hera do, but so it's like very much like, oh, you wanted a Rebel sequel and your top three favorite characters to be the stars we're marketing at the front. Here you go. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Yeah, and the three of them just like they just seem to have such great chemistry as people, and it
Yes.
seems really fun. And
Mhm.
I'm so excited. And on the director's note, having of course Dave, having I believe Rick Famuyiwa is in there.
Yes.
They have
Yeah,
Steph Green,
yes. Who
who's she
did
did Tribes of Tatooine and Book of
yes,
Boba Fett.
yes. Which is my favorite
Amazing.
episode of that show. And I
Yeah,
believe is Peter Ramsey back for
Peter
Ahsoka
Ramsey
too?
is there, and they have
Spider-Verse is one of my top favorite movies also. So
amazing.
excited
And
for
then
the sequel and excited for him to do Ahsoka.
they have Geeta Patel too, who did did my favorite episode of House of the Dragon, which is one of my favorite episodes of anything I've ever seen. Beautiful, heartbreaking, the drama, like, oh, they could not have gotten someone better. I'm so excited about that. And yeah, like the point we made with Charmaine too, like this is a show led by women. You want
Yes.
to have that perspective.
And I believe I Ahsoka, Sabine and Hera, I don't think Rebels had any female directors. I
I
can't.
don't
I
think
think
so
Clone
either.
Wars had a few, but I don't think any of them were super Ahsoka centric episodes. So it's same thing we said with Rey. These are such amazing female characters, and it's very exciting to see them handled by female directors for the first time.
Absolutely.
And also someone, I'm a woman who's interested in the film industry and working that. It's always exciting to see those opportunities in Star Wars and in everything, but Star Wars
100%.
especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And some other things, just also talk about not just the news, but the experience. On Saturday, I got to record on the HoloNet stage, which this is my fourth celebration and my fourth time on the podcast stage at Celebration, which is always a super fun time. And this time I got to record with Matt Martin, who I met doing our Star Wars stories because he worked on that show and has
Mhm.
just become a really good friend. We hung out when I lived in LA for a while. And it was super fun to get to talk to him. He was coming literally straight from getting a Yaddle tattoo, which was super cool.
I
Like,
love him.
he's fantastic. And it was so fun to talk to him about Star Wars because it's cool because he's a creative but he's also a fan, and I think in a lot of ways we're on the same wavelength about things. And it's always super fun to talk to him. And it's cool too because it's fun to see how he gets to react to things because he works on Star Wars but not on all Star Wars. Like, he doesn't know what's going on with some of the projects that are still coming out. He knows before us but not everything, so it's cool to see
Right.
his like genuine reaction to some of the stuff and how he feels. Is super cool.
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah, and he's just got such a great perspective on it, and he brings like an excited energy, but he's a very thoughtful person, and he's also of that like special editions prequels sort of like
yeah.
crossover period and everything. Where, yeah, I think his perspective is great. He's always a really great person to talk to. And the way he appreciates like the sort of the unsung heroes of Star Wars, like Yaddle.
Yes.
It's just, it makes me really happy. I'm really glad you got to do that. We were on the HoloNet on Sunday, and the energy was just great. Like
Yes.
there's always a great group of people that seek out like their fellow fans talking and all
Mhm.
that stuff.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff. It's always so hard because at Celebration because there's so many amazing panels. It's like I want to go to all these cool panels, like the official ones, like on the big stages. I also want to see like what my friends or what people I know online, like their
Mhm.
stuff that they're doing. And I also want to make sure I'm like get to experience the floor. And also I need to like sit down sometimes and like
Yeah,
eat. It's a good problem to have. But it's such a juggle of
I know. That's why
trying to
I
find
already
your
have
balance.
anxiety about Japan because it's only 3 days.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, where Japan is maybe not for us, just the travel and everything. But I was like,
Yeah.
Dad, you haven't been to Galaxy's Edge yet. Let's go to Disney instead. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah, he has to go. Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
I know. I've been twice. Um, once with the Prowess with Lizzie and Axel, and then once I went by myself. And everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to Disney by yourself." I had a great time. I did whatever I wanted. It was great. I really recommend Disney by yourself.
Disney by yourself, a new podcast coming to this
I
feed.
recommend it. It's fun. I was like, you know what? I want to ride in Credit Coaster 3 times in a row, and I don't have to worry about anyone being like, "Oh, I don't want to do that." I just did it.
Hell yeah.
Great.
Hell yeah.
I
Good for you.
recommend it.
Good for you.
I recommend learning to enjoy your own company. It's a
If you ever
good
do
mental health
Orlando, if you ever do Orlando, I'm like an hour away. I will gladly pop down there
thing.
and hang out with you guys.
Yeah,
It's the best.
I've only been to Anaheim. So, Galaxy's Edge. We went to Disney World years ago,
Mhm.
I think was the last time we went. We've been twice, 2 or 3 times, but it was before Galaxy's Edge. So
Mm,
I'm like, Dad, we gotta go. Also, because
gotcha.
if Dad goes, then he can pay for me to build a lightsaber.
Hell yeah. Guilt him.
um, but yeah, that was Saturday. Sunday, so we got I felt really bad for not doing it, but we got the lottery for the celebration stage for Villains of the Sequel trilogy. But
Mm.
I was absolutely destroyed after 2 days of like 3 hours of sleep. I was like, I can't, I gotta sleep in tomorrow. So we slept through this Villains of the Sequel trilogy, which I feel bad because it sounded like a cool panel.
Yeah, I heard it
Uh,
was great. Yeah.
but
Thankfully it's on the stream.
I gave some people some celebration stage standby, so
Oh yeah.
you know, I was giving back. Um, yeah, Sunday was also our friend of ours, the Beskar Bucket, John Scalise. Beskar Bucket recorded with my dad on the podcast on the Holonet stage. And that was a fun time. You can have to plug my friends. It was his first
Oh, absolutely.
celebration. It was his first
Oh, that's so
celebration.
cool.
So he had a really interesting perspective all weekend. And Sunday was the publishing panel also. So we got to see a little bit of timeline. I didn't go to that panel because I was doing Ahsoka makeup, but I saw the news from later. We got to see bits of timelines in 100
Mhm.
objects, And I'm
Yes.
really excited for 100 Objects because the description of it is like walking through a museum in universe is like
I can
that's the
tell
kind of
you,
stuff I love.
I have a copy of 100 Objects. I'm doing this. You can't see me pointing for the listening. It's up there on the top of my shelf. I flipped through it for 2 seconds. I haven't read it yet. But the first thing I flipped to was the piece of the path wall from Obi-Wan Kenobi and everything. And
Wow.
I was just give me chills. And yeah,
Uh,
definitely feels like a museum
yeah,
guide.
I'm excited. I love the books like that. I have the propaganda book, which
Yeah,
has some good Sabine content, and it's just I love that kind of stuff. I really want them to publish Nemec's manifesto. Um,
be amazing.
like just that kind of like in-universe stuff I love. So I'm really excited for that kind of thing. And then timelines, which we have pre-ordered. It's comes out in like a week or two, I think.
Mhm.
Also is exciting, but also will be unfortunately outdated in a
Yeah.
year when there's all this new stuff. But still will be a very good resource.
Hopefully they keep it going as an ongoing resource,
Mhm.
like do new editions, which they used to do, like with like complete characters or like the complete
Mhm.
visual dictionary. Like keep updating it,
Or
keep it
even
going.
like if it's like not a whole new edition, but it's like if they do a new edition, but they're also like here's a mini book that you can like just
Yeah,
stack on top and like help you fill in.
absolutely. Little expanded guides or
But I know it
supplementary
was a
ones.
huge labor of love for everyone involved, which is like a huge team of people and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition.
Me too.
The pages we seen look really cool. I think the next big news panel was the Bad Batch panel, which I was there. Were you at the Bad Batch?
I was, yes,
Okay.
and I loved it.
Yes. I was, well, it's cool because we had, so a friend that went with us to celebration, he has been now to every celebration except for like one or two. And he'd never been to a panel before. Because I think we're talking about like not
Oh
people
wow.
go for different things. Panels for is not why he went. But we're like, we won the lottery for it. And we're like, look, just come with us to the panel. He hadn't seen the
Yeah,
Bad Batch. So I'm sure he's a little confused, but he was like they were crying. Like they were really emotional. Like
that's
it's clearly a very
amazing.
touching thing. And we're like, yes, watch the Bad Batch. He's a big Wookiee guy. I'm like, there's Wookiees in it.
Oh, and that's one of my favorite episodes. I absolutely
Yes.
love that one.
But that was a very heart touching. It was very cathartic. We had to talk through the loss of Tech, which was very recent. It
Yeah,
was like
yeah, we're still grieving that one, and it
that was
was
very recent.
yeah.
And my dad, every Tech cosplayer we'd come across, if we were like in an elevator, something like, "Oh, I don't want to be in a high place with Tech," and they
No,
every time
no.
it was the same groan with every single one, the same like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's
too soon."
heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I love the show. We were talking about the voices of women in Star Wars, that Jennifer Corbett being the first woman to run a Star Wars thing, not getting the credit for it because animation doesn't get the credit that other
Hmm.
things get, but she is. Her and Deborah Chow, being the first two.
Hmm.
She's amazing. I love listening to
Yes.
her perspective on these characters, and seeing Michelle Ang and Dee sort of really break down their dynamic this season as Omega got older was great.
Hmm. And this is a highlight of really every celebration, but D. Bradley Baker's pure joy. It feels like everyone's always very happy to be at celebration, but I feel like D. Bradley Baker's is very special, just like energy exuding from him,
He is.
and he's like
He
jumping into all the different voices.
D. Bradley
Uh,
Baker, when we went to, we'll talk about Visions in a sec, but like we were at a Visions press conference after of different podcasts and writers. It was like upstairs. It wasn't like advertised. They just brought us up there. And when we were coming back downstairs, we passed where the celebrity green room was, and D we were all talking, walking, and laughing, and D just like blended into our group, but didn't say anything and started like walking, like trying to be funny, like a teenager, like yeah, yeah. We were like, "What are you doing here, man?" And he just like started laughing. We were like, "Come," and they would take selfies with us and stuff. Like,
mhm.
just the best, having a
Yeah,
blast.
yeah, he just every like panel, everything. He just seemed like, and I love it's impressive. And I had the absolute pleasure of being on a panel where hosting a panel with Steve Bloom in Philly a couple years ago, and it's the same thing. I'm so impressed by voice actors just like instantly switching into these like very different voices. It's so interesting. And like Bradley Whitford did that at Bad Batch last year when he just like read through a scene, just like interrupting himself in a different voice. It's impressive. It's the skill is incredible, and he just seems to have so much fun. Like he loves these characters, and you can tell, and it's great.
It means a lot. It really does mean a lot, and he's done so well. And Bad Batch just kind of felt like, you know, D was the ultimate supporting actor in Clone Wars, who supported every scene, pretty much. And now for him to get to be the star, for these seasons, and now
The
going
star
into
like
what we
5 times over too.
5 times the star, now to be the last, going into the last season, it feels like, I hope it's not the end of D in Star Wars, and I don't think it ever will be. Especially now that he's like Nubs and he has like other characters stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like we're celebrating season 2, but also like get ready. And they didn't release that season 3 trailer, but it was fantastic.
Phenomenal. We got to see a lot of Rex in there. We got to see Wolf, which now that's the last box checked for Rex's little gang
for Rebels.
In Rebels, and it's like, oh, I
have
a bad feeling about this.
It cannot be good because they don't look like they're having a great time.
No. And just there was Fennec. Fennec was back. My sister was wearing her Fennec costume.
Oh, it's great.
She was really excited. She likes Fennec. Although also I think I kept seeing on Twitter, I guess like Friday or Saturday, someone had a photo op or something with Ming-Na Wen, and they're like, "Oh, are you in the Bad Batch season 3?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, I'm excited." So
that's
I
so
knew
funny.
that already. Yeah. What else? Just Omega is a bit of a time jump. Omega has longer hair. That's
she
kind
of looks very like sciencey. Like she's got her own
she's
little
got the little uniform. We got like a couple shots of Emery Carr. Still no like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Some Crosshair, some Omega and Crosshair. Just a lot. I'm sad it's the final season. But I think it's gonna work. You know, I'll miss it, but I think they've had a very solid plan in mind for how this is gonna go. Will I be emotionally destroyed by it? Very likely.
No, odds are very high of that.
Because this is the first animated series, at least, where we're ending and no one has plot armor yet of the main cast. Because in Rebels, Hera and Chopper both did still.
Yes.
Which is very small compared to the whole cast, but it's something. But
no one but Rex and Wolf and Gregor have to make it, and Fennec have to make it out.
Yeah. And I guess Fennec, if we're including Fennec, she's got to get that. But so it'll be interesting to see. And I'm sure they're hiding a lot of other characters from us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm assuming Boba Fett will be in this season. That feels like it has to happen at some point.
He'll be there, or I feel like he'll be a presence where they're kind of talking about him. But, you know, Boba. I'm sure we'll get more Ryo. I can't remember if she was in the trailer or not.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll get some more Ryo.
We better have a confrontation with Sid. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
There's a score to settle. We got mad beef, Sid. We're not okay.
Yeah, maybe Hondo. Maybe I'll get Hondo.
There's still time.
There's still time for Hondo. It'll be interesting to see the tone of this season, because and the pacing, because every season has been like there's plot, and then there's it's all plot, but like there's like the big plot, and then there's like you get some side episodes. In season 1 and 2 we had the little like side mission kind of stuff. And it'll be interesting to see, like, I can't imagine Hunter and Wrecker being like, yeah, Omega's in some creepy lab, but we're gonna go like do some DoorDash real quick. So it'll be interesting to see how it's paced. Like, is the Omega rescue, is that going to be the finale, mid-season, earlier? How it's gonna go.
Yeah, there's so much so much there to mine, and then the bigger picture stuff too, like Chuchi, like what's going on there with the clone rights situation that we know is not going to work out, and things like that, and Krennic was in the end of season 2. Is Krennic going
Yeah.
to return? And um yeah, I mean, I feel like there'll be some surprises in terms of who shows up. I would love to see like an animated, like a Luthen rail. Like if we're gonna be doing things like this period of thing, like
Mhm.
Mothma, Chuchi, all those characters. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm really, really, really excited. They didn't say when. I'm assuming
No.
next year.
I think they said
Yeah,
I think it just said 2024, but I don't think it said like a
gotcha. Yeah, that makes
specific
sense.
month.
Maybe
Um
same time next year. Feels
yeah.
right.
It'll
Early next
air
year.
at the same time as Mando season 4.
Yes.
um but yeah, I'm really excited. It's like I said, it feels very up in the air.
Mhm.
Like because we like know where it's gonna go, like as far as an Omega rescue at least, but like how.
Yeah.
And uh it'll be interesting. And I hope, 'cause they have a lot, they've set up a lot of things as far as like the clone rights and some rebellion stuff. And so I wonder if, sort of like how Clone Wars season 7 ended and then they announced the Bad Batch. I wonder if it'll be like the Bad Batch ends and then they announce another series for D. Bradley Baker with, maybe some more Rex stuff or with Ryo and the clones. And just
Yeah.
in general, I'm excited for Ryo and, maybe seeing her getting pulled into the rebellion more with Bale. We saw Bale kind of staking her out and with Bale
Mhm.
and Mothma and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would love that. That'd be really cool.
And then I guess the last big news panel before the closing ceremony was Visions, which was phenomenal.
Loved this panel so much.
It was really cool to see and just to hear the creatives talk about their different shows, and the trailer looked some of those art styles were,
Stunning.
oh my gosh.
Is that
I
trailer released? It had to be,
It
right? It's too
was. It
close. Yeah.
was.
Oh, amazing
Um
trailer.
yeah, it yeah, I don't even like I was watching it and I was like, this is going to rock. Like
Hmm.
so hard. Like the lightsaber stuff looks good. All the
Hmm.
different animation styles. And I think something that really stuck out to me was the Chilean creatives talking directly about how the history of Chile influenced their short and about like the
Yeah.
imperialism and oppression. And they literally took in objects and scanned them from like areas of their country and like just poured them into the animation. Because it's that's as George Lucas as it gets, is
Hmm.
taking this conflict in real life and bringing it just directly into Star Wars.
Yeah. What does it look like with the layer of the fantasy over it? Their conflict, and then the Irish one where he talks about, these are the same landmarks, or the Ardman one, which we got to see in full at the panel. But that being her relationship with her mother, and about an immigrant story. And Visions is so, so deeply personal, like all Star Wars is, but this is like, you can tell they know the stakes are really high. You have
Mm-hmm.
10 to 15 minutes really per short to tell, to leave your whole heart in it, to leave it all out
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, and it's gorgeous. I loved volume 1 and I loved
Yes.
the anime of it, but I think it's really smart to make volume 2 all kinds of styles and not just
Mm-hmm.
anime. Um, it feels like something wholly fresh again.
And I'm so excited for all different, especially the inclusion of a African, specifically South African studio, because I feel like
Hmm.
Africa so often gets completely left out of the conversation when it comes to film, TV, animation, especially like any of it.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that Lucasfilm, I think they said like they wanted as many continents as possible. And it's really cool that they like specifically sought that out to highlight that. And I hope they never stop Visions. Like
Oh, me too.
um it's it's wonderful seeing, and like all the different anime styles are really cool last time, but seeing like 2D animation, 3D animation, claymation. The one I think it was South African, they're talking about they made these like felt figures and then brought them to life with
Hmm.
animation, and everything will look so different, and it's all these cool things. We're getting lightsaber stuff and blaster stuff and ship stuff, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it looks phenomenal, and we don't want to spoil the one that we saw, but just like generally, how did you feel about it?
Oh, I love that one. It was very heartfelt, and I grew up watching Aardman stuff like Wallace and
Mhm.
Gromit. My sister and I loved Shaun the Sheep. It was like a series like
Yeah, yeah,
spin-off
yeah,
they did.
yeah. I remember.
I feel like people don't talk about that one as much. We loved it. We had the DS, the Nintendo DS Shaun the Sheep game that we would play. We
That's so
loved Shaun the
specific.
Sheep. We had like my sister had like a Timmy plushie, the little tiny sheep. We
Mm.
loved Shaun the Sheep. Um, and so it was really cool to see that style of Star Wars because it's very silly, but it was also very I cried watching it.
I did too.
It was very
I cried at the end.
emotional. Uh, and I liked they were in the trailer, so I guess I can say this, but I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the main two characters were spot on two different pieces of Hera concept art.
Yes.
There's some
Yeah.
like when they were thinking about Hera being younger, that's what the
Hmm.
younger character looked like, and the older character looked like other Hera concept art, like spot
Yeah.
on. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I was very happy
Yeah, it was
with
great.
that.
And
Uh,
I don't know if I think he's in the trailer, the original trilogy
they
character
said
that
it.
is
I think wasn't that panel streamed? I think they said
that was
it.
on the pit. Yeah. That
Yeah.
well, but yeah, well, the wedge is in it.
Yes, Wedge is in
Which
it, and
is
he's great.
very cool. Yeah, he's very
I
funny in
love
it.
the like little spin they kind of put on his character. It's just
Yeah.
very
He's
fun.
just like a they treated him like we treat like sports celebrities in real life. Like he's there to, host the tournament and everything. Very cool.
It was very fun, and I loved all these little like Easter eggs and stuff. I know people kept saying like I kept seeing after like, oh, like did you see this? Is this? And I can't wait to rewatch it and like pause every like half a second and like look for
Hmm.
everything.
It's great.
Just a lot of care, a lot of passion for Star Wars, and a lot of passion for storytelling
Hmm.
was apparent in that short, and I have no doubt will be apparent in all the shorts.
Absolutely. Beautiful stuff. And if you didn't see Visions Volume 1, catch up now if you're listening to this and get ready for Volume 2. It's going to be a perfect way to celebrate May the 4th, I think, as well.
Mhm.
It's perfect time to drop it.
Yes, and May the 4th, we also have Young Jedi Adventures, and the series drops in full that
Yes.
day.
Which I will be making my entire personality.
Oh my gosh.
I will be
The
getting
Nubs backpack. I was talking to
the Nubs
Matt.
backpack.
I was like, okay, I know it's a preschooler backpack, but like it works as like a mini, like a lounge fly style, right? Too. And he's like, it probably would.
All
And
right.
all the Nubs plush. I'm ready for Nubs capitalism.
Oh, me
I'm
too.
so
I
ready.
welcome it. I welcome it with open arms.
I am ready for our fuzzy blue overlord. Um, yeah, I'm so excited for everything. And then yeah, the closing ceremony when they announced Celebration Japan, which is really exciting. Again, I don't know if I'll make that one,
Yeah,
but it's exciting. I always like to think like that's the whole other side of the world that never gets to go to
it's true.
Celebration quite as
It's
easy as
true.
I do. So I'm excited for that side of the world, for those fans over there to have slightly easier time making it to Celebration.
Hmm.
Uh yeah. Celebration was awesome. Um, lots of cool. I didn't really buy much because our suitcases were full of costumes.
Hmm.
Um, but so many cool things to look at, like the mural, but also just like the merch. Like they unveiled Hasbro Black Series is a 332nd helmet, the Ahsoka
Yeah.
clone. Looks really pretty. Um, sorts of Lego things.
Hmm. Lots of Lego things, some other figures. I'm really excited. They're doing a Black Series 3-pack of the ghosts from the end of
Oh
Return of the Jedi with like the
yeah.
little like Ewok village like
Yeah.
bridge balcony. Like I just so excited to get a
So
Ghost
cute.
Hayden action figure.
Yeah. I was very lucky and got a store reservation for Friday. So
Mm.
it was like I had so many people like, okay, can you pick me up this? Can you pick me up this? I had like a whole list. I had like an armful of stuff. And I got to grab my sister one of the Max Rebo plushies that were
Yes,
super cute. And then we
that's
went
great.
back Sunday because there was like no line just to look through, and there's like nothing left. But I was really sad because all the Max Rebo plushies were gone, but there were bins and bins of Droopy McCool and Psy's noodles. I felt really bad for Droopy and Psy because Max Rebo was
Droopy.
gone. But
Poor Droopy, man. At least Psy's got some dedicated fans. I don't know any Droopy stands out there in these streets.
no, Droopy's he's a rough one. But
Yeah.
no one wanted his plushie, I guess. It was
But you know what?
sad.
Those Droopy plushies are gonna end up on like StarWars.com in a few weeks. Half price. I'm sure he'll go to some good homes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it was an awesome celebration.
Absolutely.
Awesome people. You know, it's always fun to see the people you know and talk to them, especially if it's people you only really get to interact with online most of the time, but then also just meet new people and hang out with them. I was saying, like, next celebration, I want to bring like a map, and every time I meet someone, I give a marker and be like, where are you from? Like, dot it and just see what I get.
That's a great idea. It's a really good idea.
So yeah. Any other comments on celebration or anything we learned?
My comment on celebration is that I'm both glad that there's a gap year and I also hate it. I hate that it's 2 years away. We're all gonna have to do something in 2024 and meet up somewhere, maybe at Galaxy's Edge with your dad.
Yeah, it's always, you know, like you miss it. You also need to recover both physically and mentally, and also financially. I was pretty proud of myself. I didn't buy hardly any. I got like a t-shirt. So I was, you know, and again, that was partially we had suitcases filled with Ahsoka, Sabine, and Fennec. But it was a very fun time. Also, so I'm vegan, and the vegan selections in London, top tier, better than like any other
Good.
place in the United States.
That's so good to hear. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
It was like every place, because you know, a lot of vegan options are pretty common here in the States now, but it's like, here's a bowl with lettuce. There you go. There's your option. With
here, are you a dinosaur? Here you go. This well for you.
They had like actual like effort options, which was nice. I'd had to shout out London for that. Very cool. I had vegan McDonald's. I haven't had McDonald's since I was like 12. So
our buddy Chase, that gay Jedi, had the McPlant.
Yes, that's what the McPlant. I was really excited. Yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. London was very cool. I didn't explore it very much because I was at Celebration, but yeah, it was a great time. Very crowded, but very fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And if you haven't been to a Celebration, even maybe Japan is too far for you, but if there's one close enough and you're thinking about it, just do it. You're gonna be happy you did it.
It's if you're the type of person that thinks I want to go to that, you should be there. Because that means you care that much, and this is the place for you. It's the best. It's like camp and a reunion and a party and just all that at the same time. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's like it's such a judgment free zone. You know, like everyone is there. We're all nerds. We're all, you know, if you're not wearing a Star Wars costume, you're wearing a Star Wars t-shirt or dress or whatever. It's, you know, everyone loves and is passionate about this, and you know, and passion is cool. Passion is never embarrassing, but sometimes people make you feel that way about it, and there's none of that at Celebration.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. So, Alden, where can people find you and your podcast / writing? And I know you do lots of things.
Yeah, you can find me personally at that Alden Diaz, THATALDENDIAZ, Twitter, Instagram, Hive, TikTok. I don't know if we're still over on Hive.
I forgot about Hive.
I miss Hive. That was a nice weekend. You can find my Star Wars podcast, Ahch-To Radio, AHCHTO Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. My show, a few different sub-series as well, primarily Star Wars interviews, things like that. We're in the middle of Mandalorian right now, so that's been a focus. And had Lydia Kang on as the most recent interview for High Republic, which is great. And on Casually Talk with Ken Knapsack, doing fantasy stuff like House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Willow, for the little bit of a Lucasfilm fix over there. Me too. Oh, I miss it so much.
Have you watched Legend of Vox Machina? Sorry, I'm totally nervous.
No,
have you watched Legend of Vox
please.
Machina? That's
I haven't.
Fantasy. That's a really
haven't.
good fan.
And everyone tells me I need to.
You should. It's so good. And I'm the crazy person who I heard about it and then watched the 115 episodes, 4 hours each of the D&D campaign is based off
my
of.
God.
And they're great. It's a commitment. Took me like over a year.
Wow.
But now I watch it with my sister and I'm like, see, in the campaign, it's because he rolled a nat 1 there. See, in the campaign, he said it like this, and she's like,
That's
shut up.
amazing.
But if you ever watch it and want to podcast about it, I'm so there.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm gonna need you to do the annotated version, the commentary of what
I'm
actually
there.
happened.
I'm so there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Anyway,
and I'm doing stuff.
sorry.
No, you're totally fine. I'm doing stuff all over the internet, too much stuff. Yeah, and just if you hit me up, we'll talk about something, I'm sure.
Yeah. For Star Wars Geek Girl, there's starwarsgeekgirl.com. I share articles with random Star Wars thoughts there and book reviews. Twitter and Instagram are at SW Geek Girl, and the Facebook page is Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Spectre_5 written out, not the number, and on Twitter as at Azoika, because Spectre 5 in all its iterations was taken there. So I'm Azoika on Twitter.
It works.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. May the force be with you, and goodbye.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.